on my internet how that goes. Okay. Hey, everybody. Just wait 1 second while we get geared up. There we go. Yay. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us on a Wednesday afternoon or early evening, depending on what time zone you are joining us. But we would assume most of you are in the good state of Minnesota, like Karrie and I are.
Yep.
I am so pumped to talk with Karrie today about her experience in the Alliance cohort this year, because hers is unique. Karrie and I first met in my backyard at a dinner party that one of our mutual friends invited her to be her guest at. And she'd shared Karrie's story a little bit before I had met Karrie. And so I'd strategically decided Karrie was going to sit right across from me. If you have not been to a Shannon Foreman Co. event, I strategically place people where I think they should be, who they need to connect with, what groups they should be in. And I really wanted to connect with Karrie. One of the reasons was Karrie had lost her dad. And I was on a journey. I did not know when Karrie and I first met each other that a month later I was going to lose my dad. I knew eventually I was going to, but that connected us into almost like this sisterhood of, well, we call it the Dead Dads Club. Affectionately called the Dead Dads Club.
A lot of incredible women are in that club, unfortunately, but great women are in that club.
So Karrie and I connected more on a personal level, and then she started to share with me more of her story and more of her career. And I was like, hey, I think I might start this thing, Karrie. What do you think about being a part of it? And then fast forward to January 2024. Might have taken a little bit of work to get you to that 2024 start time. But then Karrie joined our Alliance crew, and we're going to talk through what her experience was and what she worked on during that 9-10 months together. So, and continue, right? Like this is a continuation.
Yeah.
So Karrie, let's just start off with like, how did you even besides like sitting with me in my backyard, what gained that inkling of curiosity about joining the program, and what drew you to it, knowing that it was both professionally and personally?
Well, I met you at this, when our mutual friend invited me to that dinner in your backyard, it was like, when she explained it to me, I thought, this is what I'm looking for. I met you at this point in time where I had been starting to intentionally seek out women, thought leaders that were doing incredible, impactful things in all different spheres. And I wanted to seek it out in a really organic way. And so when my mutual friend invited me to your backyard and I met you and the people you surround yourself with, I was like, I don't understand how I'm at this table, which you helped me very much understand why I belong at that table.
Absolutely, you
do. But first, that just blew me away, just the level of people you surround yourself with, Shannon. And then fast forward into starting to hear about the, creating of Alliance and being involved in this first cohort. And I mean, I'll be really transparent. When I first sat down with you, we talked about, I'm like, I don't know if this is for me. I want to be with these people. These people are cool. I want to be with these people, and I want to learn with these people, and I want to surround myself with these incredible women. But I don't have a project. I was sitting here happy in my job. I had just taken on a promotion at work and just thought, I don't have a project. I don't have an end goal, and I really like an end goal. And so I didn't actually think it was going to be a good fit for me, but obviously in loving conversation with you and learning more about, I think what is a huge benefit of a group like Alliance, when you surround yourself with women of this caliber and with yourself, Shannon, they see something in you don't always see in yourself. And you helped me see that I didn't need to necessarily be building a business or working on a project or writing a book or doing these things. Just you can go through this journey and just come out having a better understanding of who you are, what you stand for. And I think, you know, like the project was me. I think that's what you said. The project is Karrie home. And I didn't fully get it when you first, I'm like, okay, sure. I don't know what that means. And there are many times where I didn't fully get it, but I just knew that it was the right people, the right time. And I knew that I would just have to trust the process. And I did.
Yeah. I mean, I think there were some definite pivotal moments. We'll talk a little bit about that next. For you, you know, I saw in you, Karrie, this ability to be a thought leader in your own space, the way you lead your teams and the way you show up to lead differently in a space that can easily be a transactional relationship. Karrie leads in a large, I would call it a boutique national clothier that I very much enjoy shopping at. And surprisingly, I'm not wearing anything from there today, but normally I am.
All right. It's all right.
You could easily, in a retail relationship with your staff, be transactional, right?
Mhm.
They could, you know, turnover could happen, and it does in a retail setting, right? But how do you build those long-lasting relationships? How do you see the people for who they are? How do you continue to build those people? How do you truly, you know, stand yourself as a leader and someone who has that loyalty, not only to your team, but to the company that you work for too, is really awe-inspiring, especially in a day and age where we don't necessarily always have that.
Mhm.
And I wanted you to see, and I feel like you have, just your full potential to really change an industry of how they coach and lead. And as somebody who actually did start my career in a retail space, I was like, wow, I wish I would have had a Karrie Helm as somebody, right? Now, I maybe would have pivoted into a different life had that been the case, but I wish I would have had a leader like you. And I didn't have that. And so I transcended in a different direction, which is why we're here now. But in considering journey, right? We all have these different journeys. In your journey in Alliance, what were some pivotal moments that allowed you to be able to see, opened some doors for you, gave you that light bulb? What were those moments for you?
Well, there's two that come to mind. I mean, every single session, I feel like I was just building an incredible toolbox. Like, I just feel like I have countless ideas and concepts to go back to. But the two moments that really stick out, first and foremost, that kind of set, I think, the momentum for the second half of Alliance was I was struggling. Like the midway point, I was in a struggle point. We went through a reorganization of kind of our leadership team. I was feeling really, really overwhelmed. I was traveling a ton. And I still hadn't quite figured out what it meant to just understand who Karrie Helm was better. And you asked if I'd be in the hot seat. You're like, why don't you be in the hot seat? And for those of you who
don't worry, it's not scary.
It's not scary. It was actually like a lovely, wonderful, transformative moment in my life that I will remember for forever. But Shannon put me in a position where she just asked me really, really good questions. And everyone in the group did, to just try to take myself again out of the immediate situation and look at a higher level and identify who am I really? What impact am I making, and what impact was being a part of that group going to continue to make on me? And it wasn't necessarily about, again, that end result, the end project, but it was more about just trusting the day-to-day process. And if I learned one big thing about myself, I really like to know the end goal, and I like to know exactly what steps I'm going to get there. So it was super uncomfortable to just like discover and be available to that. And it was that moment where it connected to me like, oh, you feel really uncomfortable right now because you are being challenged to learn something new, and you're being challenged to do something you haven't really done. And that, when you go through something like that, it just builds a ton of confidence for the next time you're in that situation. It also helped me just to fully embrace the process in a way that I had been trying every session to have like, what's the thing? What's the thing? What's the thing? And I allowed myself at that point in time to just embrace the process. So that, I'd say, from a tangible standpoint, we did a lesson all about social media and the various platforms and how to show up and how to and truly engage and connect. And when I think of trying to use my voice in a bigger way as a thought leader in my industry, the way that felt most organic to me was to show up more on LinkedIn than anything and just connect. And I had, again, been trying to say, okay, if I post these things, this is the end result. It's like, no, you're just connecting. You're connecting, you're finding ways to connect, and to give myself the freedom for that. And there was some really good framework of like, here's a great way to stay connected. There was some good, yeah, I do love a good checklist. I love a roadmap. So there's a nice little roadmap that went with it. There's many other things, but those are the two that I think stuck out that really made an impact.
You mentioned like the confidence in the journey. How do you feel like you've now carried that confidence forward in your toolbox, like you said, that you've had and you've created on this journey? How has that confidence continued to help you now that we haven't been together for a couple?
I know, but we stay close. We all stay close.
Yes,
It just gave being in that situation, gaining the tools, but I think honestly, the community was such a big piece of it. I went into it knowing that I had a strong and impactful voice in like my immediate sphere of influence. And through the process of not only gaining the knowledge, but also just being in community with these women, I built the confidence to know like I actually have a voice that goes outside of just my sphere of influence where people it does make a difference. It does make an impact. So the confidence to say, one, I'm just going to go out there and do it. And I'm going to share my truth and I'm going to seek a conversation or whatever that is, because I mean, if it falls flat, it falls flat, I mean, that is what it is. But also knowing from that group of people and the visitors and the speakers that we had come in, like, no, you have a lot to share and a lot to say that makes a difference. And you always say, Shannon, I love this. And I have to remind myself of this all the time. Like someone needs to hear it from you. Because I think that's the thing I always say, like, I'm not saying anything new. I'm a big book reader and podcast listener. And I take what you shared with me and I interpret it for me and I try to share it and pass it forward. But you always say, like, someone needs to hear it from your voice. The way you present, you say, why are you wanting to work with me? It's because there's a lot of people out there doing similar things, but I wanted to work with you, Shannon, because of your voice and who you surround yourself with and what you stand for. And that is what I remind myself constantly when I start to feel a little uneasy or a little unconfident, like, no, someone needs to hear my voice and the way that I say this, because it matters and it will make a difference for someone.
It absolutely will. And I think it's not even that they need to hear it from you, it's that they need to hear it from how you say it sometimes too.
Yes.
Right? I think we all say things. I say this to my kids' gymnastics coaches all the time. I could tell them something, you tell them, and it's totally different.
Totally different.
Right? Same with teachers, other influences. So, thinking like you could be delivering the same exact thing. Look, we live in a day and age where people can Google anything that they want, right? And so we have resources and AI and all of those things at our fingertips. But sometimes because we hear it from someone else or we take action in this one way, it helps us move that needle forward or introduces us to a new way of thinking, right? What if our mutual friend had not brought you there that night, right? And, even then, like she told me, she was like, she's wrestling with, is she even right for this space? Like, absolutely. Our table is always open. It's not this like exclusive event that like we get VIP. Like I don't operate in that space. But
that's what you do really well, Shannon, is that you do bring together people that are real cool, real smart, innovative, I mean, incredible people, but you let us be us. And you do create a space where you're like, oh, this is totally approachable and real. And you can be incredible and all, anyway, you do that really, really well.
Everybody puts their pants on.
Amen.
At a time.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it was, growing up in a space where I had access to, different things from my grandfather was on radio. That doesn't mean he makes money, by the way, people. We did not have like this lavish lifestyle growing up. But I did have access to people whose lives were definitely more interesting that people would want to talk to, right? And my grandfather used to always say, like, everybody puts their pants on at the same time or the same way, right? One leg at a time. I don't know anybody that really puts two legs in at a time, but if you do, I mean, that's great.
Amazing.
Wow. Do you fall on your, like, I am very curious. Might even just Google that after I'm done. See, these are like the right, but like, I feel like there needs to be more authenticity in the world and not, um, filtered authenticity is, and so
Agreed.
how do we do that? And I think for me, I saw so many women come into my office and they're, juggling glass balls, they're owning multiple titles of things, and they're still seeking more for themselves. They want to make impact. And they're like, how do I do this? I don't even have the space for it. How do I know somebody's real? Is this a good investment? All of these things come up in question. And, those were some of the things you and I addressed too, right? Talking about like, how do you balance all of the things in the life that you have going on? You mentioned November before starting Alliance, you got a promotion, not even a little promo, like a big promotion. You went to run the entire stores, right? You're the national, senior director. Side note, I debate on that, but I will take that to the powers that be. Debate on that title, friends. Karrie won't, but I do. But I think, looking at that big, requirement, also talk a little bit about like, not only do you have this requirement from a national career space, but also at home. How did Alliance help you to integrate? I'm not a huge fan of the word balance because I don't know about you, but I'm not a tightrope walker. So how do you integrate?
Well, I think that you can't have one without the other, right? So anytime I'm doing anything, I will say what I really appreciated about Alliance. I have been a big proponent. Growth is one of my values. So like seeking growth opportunities, seeking something to learn for the sake of learning, whether it's, I think I shared books, podcasts, all that. That's really important to me. And I want to show that to my family. I've got 2 kids, both like older elementary, middle school. So they're in a really prime age. And it's important for them to see me constantly learning, evolving, and growing and seeking opportunity. This was the first time in a long time I did something like truly just for me at this level of commitment. Because I am away from my family a lot with my job, not only 9 to 5, but I'm traveling constantly, right? And so to say, okay, I'm gonna, in the year that I'm suddenly now traveling more than I ever have, I'm also gonna do this Alliance thing, and like one Sunday a month, I'm not gonna be home. I'm going to be off. And that was very tricky. It was very tricky to wrap my brain around. It was tricky, but every single time it came up to an Alliance weekend, I had the both and, which you speak so beautifully to, of like wanting to be home, feeling bad about leaving, having that mom guilt, and knowing this is for me. This is important. I'm learning. I'm growing. I'm enjoying any time I walk away from a Sunday, like you walk away just completely filled up in a way that you don't anticipate. I mean, you do anticipate it, but you almost, it's beyond what you can. I don't know. I don't think I can accurately put it into words how those Sundays leaving, how I felt. But I think that I don't think you have one without the other, right? So when I'm learning things at work or I'm learning things at Alliance, it's trickling into the confidence I'm showing my kids or how I'm engaging every single day with them at home too. And when I think of the future I want for them, I want them to be able to invest in themselves, to keep challenging themselves, to take opportunities, to know like, I'm going to engage in this thing and I don't necessarily know I'm going to get out of it, or it's going to be more time away, or it's going to be, it's going to challenge me. But I want them to see me do that. I even want them to see me having a hard time, right? Like they need to see like, mom, this is hard for her, but this is also the other side of it. Look what's come out of it. Look how happy she is. So I don't know if I'm answering. That's what's coming to my mind. It's just that I don't see one without the other. They go together.
You know me, there's no right or wrong answer.
I know. I like a right or wrong answer, though. I like a black and white sometimes.
No, nobody's passing, failing. Nobody's passing, failing. That was it. I would say for you, it was what I saw, looking from the outside in, was an experiment in you being able to really hold that both and realize that element of quality versus quantity, and how do you really show up for the people in your life, and yourself, right? I posted something on social media in my stories this morning on Instagram, and I was cuddling with my daughter this morning. And I had to remind myself, like, I don't have to rush to do anything else.
Mm-hmm.
I own my own business, and this is something that I really wanted, and I need, and I am a go-getter, right? I mean, you know this about me, Karrie. Like, I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, all right, what are we doing? I'm like a visionary. My team's like, oh my God, did you come up with something else today? One of them says, like, all the time, she's like, I don't know that I want to come to the office, because I come to the office and I get more stuff I got to do. Um, there's like a whole nother design. We have a whole nother big project that's coming out in 2025 that
Ooh.
on the other business, but
Oh,
another thing, right? And that was like we're gonna do this. And then I was working all night last night. And so taking the extra 10 minutes to have that quality time with my girls this morning versus feeling like I have to spend 8 hours with them. And frankly, at our kids' ages, they don't always want to spend 8 hours with us either.
Well, you could be with them. You could be with them all day and never connect. You could be home all the time. You could work from home. You could spend all the time and never truly actually connect or never truly. So I think that's the other thing is when you do have less time, I've always found you tend to be more quality in your engagement.
Yeah. I'm interested to hear from you in terms of how you utilized your experience in alliance on the flip side, inside your relationships, coaching your team, and working with your peers. How did you use and even in the confidence area, there's a few things I would love to hear from you. We'll see if we do.
Yeah. Well, I think it goes back to like when I built confidence there to feel really, what comes to mind is not so much, I mean, yes, in my coaching, in my team, that's something I've always been really passionate about is coaching my team, encouraging. I think the more I surround myself with other people, I do think I just get a little bit more space and more ideas of how to ask questions and how to keep going a little bit level deeper. But I would say more so cross-functionally for me is in the role that I'm in now, I work more with other departments than I ever have. And that was always a place I felt really nervous. I'm like, I know stores real well. And I was not raised I was raised in retail, but like, I don't have a traditional business background. And so I would find myself sitting, being in meetings with other departments, with marketing, with technology, with buying, with merchandising, and not necessarily always trusting that I had a point of view that was valid or worthy or, added a whole lot. And so just the confidence and skill that I gained from knowing like you don't have to be the subject matter expert, but you can speak your truth or your thought and you can trust that what comes out of your mouth, like maybe it's not the right thing, but even just have the confidence to say, I'm going to share what's coming to mind here. I'm going to ask a question and I'm going to engage in thought connection with you. And no, again, I don't have to have the answer. I can just sit here in the discovery with you. So I think for me, that's probably the biggest place that it showed up is just in my confidence as I'm working cross-functionally with other departments, feeling like I don't hold back. I used to hold back a little bit more and I don't feel like I hold back anymore.
I don't know that I would ever know a Karrie Helm that holds back.
Well, I don't know that. Well, no, because I make it look like I'm not holding back, but there's definitely then times where I'm like, if I don't say the right thing, and it's more so, I find myself, and that's what I love about Alliance. I find myself more so fearful of that when I'm talking with people where I'm not the subject matter expert in the thing that we're talking about, because I kind of am right in my department. I've been doing this for 14 years and I've been in stores for 14 years. At this point, not in time. I mean, I'm always learning, but I pretty much have that side figured out.
Right.
So I get a little like, ooh, what do I know? I don't know if I know that. And then I hold back a little, or I might not look like it, but I know that there are things that I want to say that I don't say, or I didn't.
I don't think that that's actually any different than a lot of other women. I think that a lot of women, even people would say, well, Shannon, you're always super confident about everything that you say. Are you kidding me? Before I go into anything, I'm looking at my notes. I'm thinking to myself, well, how do I need to show up for the humans that are in front of me? What do I need to do? I think sometimes when we're nervous, it's because we care and we're caring too much about what we're going to say because we care about how it comes across. And some people don't always do that. And so I think that reframing that as an ability of not nerves, but like, I care how this comes across, and just addressing that. And
Mhm.
sometimes I'll even like in moments where I am like the most nervous, I will just like ground myself at the beginning and I will say like, hey, you know what? If you were up here, you'd probably be a little nervous. I'm actually a little nervous too because I care about what's going to happen and what's going to come out of
Mhm.
my mouth. I want to make sure that it's impactful for you, right? And so
Mhm.
I think being able to readjust wherever it is that we are, and not lead with fear, but we lead with our heart space too,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Um, I as we kind of like end our conversation, Karrie and I could sit here and talk all day long, and
I
sometimes
know. I can't believe it's almost done.
um, what would you say to a woman like you a year ago when
Mhm.
you and I started having these conversations? How will she feel on the other side? And why should she consider investing in herself in
Mm.
2025?
First, just do it. That's the first thing. Like, just when Shannon said, and I met with her, I'm like, Shannon, I don't know if this is for me. I don't know if it's my year. And I'm sure that there's a lot of people that you're sitting with right now that are thinking, and people watching this, like, I don't know if it's my year. I don't know if it's for me. And again, you saw something in me that I hadn't quite seen in myself yet. And I'm so glad that I didn't let some of like the job, the financial costs, all that, like I didn't let that get in the way, because who I am on the other side of this, I have had experiences and lessons. I don't know what it would have looked like, right? Like I have no clue what it would have looked like, where I'd be sitting today had I not done it, because I took the leap and I chose to do this. I know because I did that I am more confident than I absolutely was a year ago. Last January, way more confident in my personal life and my professional life. I know that I have a network of women that I can lean into for anything, that will stand up. They will be there. They will be available. Like, even if you just sign up for that, I mean, you're going to gain so much more than that. But to have a network of those people is something you can't quantify how much of an impact, because it's not only like where I'm also just thinking, where am I going to be another year from now, because these people are still in my life and because of what I've learned. And you can't know where you're going to be if you don't take the leap. But if you're even remotely questioning it, do it. Again, you don't have to go into it knowing the journey you're going to take, knowing what your end goal is. I still didn't like check a box. I didn't execute a single, I execute a lot of things, but I don't have a book. I don't have a business. I don't even have a website, which I know Shannon probably wants me to have a website. I don't have any of those
That's not
things.
true. You have a layout of what you would like
I
to
have
have.
a layout and we'll see. But but honestly, the great thing is, like, when and if I need any of those things, I'll have them and I'll know how to do them, which I think is amazing. I won't have to backtrack and figure it out. And also, it I still feel like I'm a completely different person. Like, what did you say? A 10x myself? Is that what you said? I feel like that, and I don't have any of those things.
Mhm.
And if anyone's questioning, I would love everyone who's engaging or considering that this could be something for them, or even like maybe someday do it, because you cannot imagine the person that you'll be a year from now.
Well, thank you. I would like to
Mhm.
celebrate you a little bit because you sent me a text last week,
Mhm.
and I exploded. Y'all are not my children, but like I explode with like this pure joy and happiness of like anytime any of them along the journey, any aha that they've had, anything like that. Like it fills me to the brim. And so when you sent me this text, I'm like dancing around the room. Christy also helps run the program with me. She's my director of marketing and community relations. Her and I are like high-fiving each other. So like it is authentic connection. But what are you doing that we were so excited about, Karrie?
I am super excited. One of the like pipe dreams was always like, I want to speak. I like speaking. I want to share what I've learned with other people. My values are growth and service, but I love serving people with stuff that I've learned. And so I've got asked to be on a panel there's a really big retail conference that happens every January in New York City called NRF, National Retail Federation. And I will be speaking on a panel. in like 3 weeks about working smarter, not harder.
Yes.
Right? Very, very excited.
Love that. Congratulations. I wish I could be front row sitting there, but I always will be. You'll get a whole hype video for me that morning. I'll have to get up extra early since you'll be in New York.
Don't worry, I'm not speaking till 4:30 in the afternoon.
Oh, that's okay. Like, I'll send you one anyway in the morning. But I will say this, I won't be able to, like, I did actually look at my calendar to see if I could fly out and be there with you, because that's how excited I get about my cruise achievement. But the night before, I'm going to be meeting all the gals for 2025's cohort.
Oh.
So I was like, I don't know that I can jet on a plane to get there for you. But I am so incredibly excited for where 2025 and beyond is going to lead you. You have done an amazing job of just looking at yourself. I think you actually did check a box. It was the box of not checking boxes.
I know, which I don't like, but yes, you're right. Thank you for giving me a box to check that was about not actually having a box to check. So thank you.
And you experimented. There, I gave you 2 boxes.
Woo!
Good job. Any parting words for our community and the folks who are thinking about Alliance, or even any of your cohort that are watching? There's a few of them on there.
Oh, are they watching? First of all, I miss all my people, my cohort. I miss you all. Parting words, just I go back to like, trust the process. And if you are remotely feeling like, I don't know, Shannon just kept coming up. The Alliance kept coming up, what is so beautiful about Shannon is it really truly is about us. So she might be the face that's coming up and the voice that's coming up, but she's doing it because she believes so deeply in this work and the people that you are creating these spaces for, Shannon. It really isn't about you. It is about us. And you feel that deeply when you're with her, and you will have somebody in your corner and a group of people in your corner for forever. And so I just thank you. I'm so grateful that you gave me that nudge and that you helped me see things in myself that I didn't even see. So thank you.
It is my incredible honor to be your mirror. Thank you, dear one. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right, everybody. Have a great night.